Yo, what's good, my people? It's your boy, Big Chris, aka the Compton Animator, and I'm here to bring you another WWE Smackdown main event and NXT review. So, before I get into reviews, let's go. I got a few news things to happen. Well, only really one. Basically, CM Punk was moved to the alumni list on the WWE.com, which led to there's dogs barking in the background, so I tried to wait for them to stop barking, but it's late as fuck, so I just wanted to get the video up. But yeah, it led to a lot of people saying thank you CM Punk or thank you Punk on Twitter, and then that led to him putting out a tweet basically saying no thank you, thanks for all the help and support through all the years, health and happiness above all, don't ever take any shit from nobody. So as far as all that goes, man, just, you know, I'm happy that CM Punk is doing what CM Punk wants to do. I'm happy that he's not, going and trying to tear his body up, keep, wrestling. I've said this in my videos. I said this, all over other places and stuff with my friends and all other things, is that when you look at CM Punk right now, in the last year or so that he's been wrestling, like, just look at one move and you could tell how badly he's, his body is holding up. Just look at his elbow drop from the rope. He's barely able to do it nowadays. And that goes to show you that, his body can't keep up. You could tell by his promos that he wasn't in it anymore. He just wasn't caring for what he was doing. And that's basically a time where you got to just say, okay, I'm done. And I'm happy that's exactly what he did. So sad to see the dude go, and I'll probably do another video talking about some of my favorite CM Punk times and stuff. On the network they were showing a bunch of CM Punk stuff, like the whole best in the world video talking about his whole career and stuff, and they was doing the whole thing of his Money in the Bank win, so I did like that. But yeah, like I said again, sorry with the dogs, people, I know they're bothering me too, but yeah, just I'm happy for this dude. So things that we see coming up for him in the future outside of wrestling, he's going to be, I guess, what do you call it, hosting the red carpet or the pre-show or whatever they want to call it for the Gibson Awards. I'm not going to watch that. I don't care about award shows, but I'll check out about a couple of pieces of clips from YouTube if they do put them up there and stuff. And also he put out another tweet saying that he's thinking of either starting a band, podcast, or a fire. One of these is true. So I would really like to see him do a podcast. He was on Chris Hardwick's podcast for Nerdist, and I think a podcast with them two would be very fun. I would really like that. So yeah. Basically, thank you, Punk, man. Thank you for all the things you've done. I would probably do another video just talking about CM Punk, in a couple weeks or next week or something like that. But yeah. So let's get into the show. So we start off the week with main event, and this is main event for the 15th, 2014, July. And you start off with The Miz. Sorry about that. You start off with The Miz. He comes down, and he basically goes into this whole star type of promo, talking about, he gets out a piece of paper like LeBron James, how he did in front of the whole crowd when he was going to Miami and stuff, just talking about himself and shitting on his Cleveland and saying, he's going to Hollywood and he's finally get to Hollywood and he's finally being a star. That type of promo, just talking shit to everybody and saying how better he is than everybody in the promo. And he was doing it in a whole way of, reading from a piece of paper and stuff. So I thought this was an okay promo from The Miz. I am liking the character he's doing right now. I would like for him to find more direction with the character, but I think as a base character, as what it is, I think it's okay for him. You get Sheamus, who comes out, talks shit about him, and then tries to beat him up in the ring. Sheamus here is just really, I don't really like him as a face right now at all, to tell you the truth. I think when he's in the ring, he's good, but when he's doing these promos, he's just bland as hell, and he says the same thing over and over again. He basically says he's going to beat up Miz, and that's about it. So yeah, I didn't really like him here. Next you get a match with Emma versus Cameron, and this is the first time we see Emma back on TV since her whole quote-unquote stealing accident. And you get Naomi on commentary. The match itself was very bland. Emma picks up a roll-up win, and you get Cameron, who ends up attacking at the end, and Naomi comes and help out and have a big old stare down with Cameron. Naomi on commentary was okay for what it was. she's not really that. That's not what her strong suit is. Her strong suit is in the ring, but it was okay for what it was. This is basically the last thing pushing up them to their match. Like I said, the match itself was mediocre, and it's whatever. Pushing up to the match is a pre-show match basically. So next you get a match with Big E and Kofi Kingston versus Ryback. So, and I actually thought this was a pretty fun match. I think Big E and Kofi are very fun as a tag team together. I do like Ryback and Curtis Axel as a team. I think that, you know, when they actually do work and when they actually get a little bit of time to actually play out as characters, I think, you know, they actually have fun with it. The match basically itself was just, I thought it was pretty fun. You know, Big E and Kofi really worked fun together, especially the big man versus big man and you know, small high flyer guy was just, you know, a really nice way to, you know, complete a whole package. The match basically ends with Curtis Axel getting hit with a Trouble in Paradise, and Big E and Kofi picks up the win. So I thought this was a pretty fun match. Nothing too big to it, but it was my favorite match on the show. So after that, you get a match between Sheamus and The Miz. It was basically a match where The Miz was trying to hide his face the whole time and doing heelish stuff like sneaking away from Sheamus and running away and stuff. It really wasn't nothing to it. He ran from the bro kick a few times. He basically stood in the ring at the end and was trying not to get hit in the face and got hit with a roll up. And Sheamus picked up the win here and cheered for himself. It was a nothing match. I thought the match they had on Raw was a little bit better, but this one was the same thing with just not as much fun to it at all. So as far as how I think that show went, main event was another just bland show. Like I said, I catch clips of it and I fast forward through a lot of it, so, you know, it really wasn't a nothing to it. But yeah. So next you get NXT, which happened on the 17th July 2014, and you start off the show with Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy versus the Vaudevillains. I was kind of mad that Enzo and Cass didn't do their whole little intro speech thing before, intro little promo thing that they always do. I was like, you know, if they're going to come out, at least let them do that. But we did get a new entrance from the Vaudevillains, and it's basically where the curtains will close and they'll open a little bit and you get a guy announcing the Vaudevillains on the video, and then they come out from each side of the curtain. So I did like that. I thought that was a very nice way to intro those guys in, and it better than, you know, just them having to do it kind of cheaply themselves with just a megaphone and and a microphone in front of it. So I like the way that they intro the guys here. I thought that was way better than their, you know, first attempts at it. As far as the match itself, it was very much a short match. A bunch of what do you call them? Arm bars or whatever you call them. Basically a bunch of them twisting each other's arm, and then the other team guys gets in and they start hitting each other. You get the French guys, I forget the name of their team, but the French guys come out and they basically cause an interference just by them being out there, and the Vaudevillains pick up the win from that. So I thought the match itself was really nothing to it, very below average, but I did like the fact that, you know, it drove more story to what's happening between the French dudes and Cass and Enzo. So, you know, I did like that part, but I would like to see them actually have a, you know, fun match before you end up going there. So next you get Xavier Woods versus CJ Parker. This match was very below average, like very, very below average, probably bad to say the least. Xavier looked okay here. He was getting a little bit of crowd pop, but CJ he gets nothing from the crowd. And even when he picks up a win, which I think was botched because I think he was supposed to cheat and hold on to the ropes, just the crowd was silent. They didn't give him nothing. Usually the crowd would say something. They were just silent here. So I don't know what to tell you with this one. It's just silent crowd, nothing to it at all. Next you get a backstage promo with the Ascension, and it's basically them pumping themselves up, talking about how good they are and that they need somebody to go against, and if you want to go against them, you're basically going to get destroyed. So I did like the promo from these guys. Next you get Sasha Banks versus Alexa Bliss. They had a video package with Alexa, and she's just basically saying she's gonna beat up Sasha Banks in the nicest way you can. I thought the match itself was okay here between these two girls. Sasha I think she's really good in the ring, and Alexa's okay, but she's still very green. I think Sasha has a lot of skill to her arsenal, and they just got to let her go out there and let her do what she needs to do. I think if you let her go out there and have matches like a Natty has or a Naomi has, I think that she can actually do some real good in the ring. She ends up doing backstabber into this. I think it's kind of a crossface, but she doesn't hold the leg in between the arm. I mean, the arm in between her legs, and she ends up picking up the win with that. So hopefully this does push her to something bigger. I could see her being put into a three-way match with Summer Rae and what's the other girl's name? Summer Rae and Charlotte into the Divas title match, into the NXT Divas title match. But I thought this match itself was okay for what it was. Nothing too much to it. So after that, and also they have the one-on-one NXT Divas title match with Summer versus Charlotte next week. So hopefully they interject Sasha Banks into that match and we get a triple threat out of that. So next you get Kalisto, who has a backstage promo with the Devin Taylor, I think her name is, and he's basically saying he's dropped LO Cal and he's looking on to the future, to his future wins. You get the Vaudevillains who come out and the screen goes black and their like voices are interchanged and stuff now. And matter of fact, they didn't speak. What they did here was they basically showed a card and it's basically said they want to fight Kalisto. He needs to find a tag team partner, and he says he has somebody in mind. So it looks like they're going to push the whole thing with Kalisto and Sin Cara joining up. So I'm very interested to see what they do from that, and I think that would be a fun little just tag team to go against the Vaudevillains and just pushing Kalisto and what's their names? Kalisto and Sin Cara together. I think will be very nice. After that, you get a match with Adam Rose and I forget this dude name, JJ. I forget what his something. I forget this dude's name. But the match itself was okay. Very below average. Adam Rose really didn't do too much. His crowd hype was very, very much not as much as it used to be. The crowd kind of popped for some things, but they weren't really going into everything. Jason Jordan, I just remembered his name, but they wasn't basically getting into everything. And I thought Jordan was pretty okay with his athleticism here, but you end up getting Adam Rose, hit the head scissors, did a party foul, and picks up the win. So like I said, the match wasn't anything much to it. Adam Rose did do a couple funny little gimmick things that he's been doing, and that's basically it. After that, you get Tyler Breeze, a part that I actually really like, in another interview with Devin Taylor. And she asking him when is he going to fight and use his number one contendership. He's saying he still got his hand broke from the modeling accident, which I think is very funny for this dude. And he says, until then, I get my match, or until I do anything else or my hand heals, this should hold you over. And he shows his music video. And I think the funniest thing in the show was at the start of his music video, this came on, says dedicated to all my fans and even the Uggos. I thought, dude, this dude's character right here, man. I really like Tyler Breeze's character. I think he's a very fun character, and they just basically showed the video after that. You didn't need anything more of this for Tyler Breeze, just playing up to his character and bringing back the video. It didn't need that much to it, especially for a developmental show like NXT. After that, you get a match between Tyson Kidd and Sami Zayn. The match itself I thought was very fun. Not as the best match I've seen these two guys put on, but I thought, they went in there hard hitting, very quick, very good pace into this match. And I thought these two guys went very well. You had one move where Tyson Kidd comes off the rope with an elbow and Sami Zayn blocks it with his knees. I don't think I've ever seen somebody block an elbow with their knees. It looked vicious. And then you get both of them just going at it, Blue Thunder bombs, they diving on each other and stuff like that. You get Tyson Kidd ends up hitting a leg drop off the ropes onto Sami Zayn at one point. The match ends where Zayn tries to get Tyson tries to get Zayn into a sharpshooter. Zayn ends up getting to the ropes, and then it fully goes down where Tyson goes to the rope, tries to jump off. Zayn catches him, hits him with this move, and then puts him into the Kofi clutch or whatever it's called, and picks up the win from that. So I thought this was a pretty fun match, and I just like seeing these two guys go at it and just do what they do in the ring. I thought before the matches, you had Tyson and Zayn cut promos in the back. I thought Tyson's promo was better, but I think these two went out and had a pretty fun showing tonight. So, as far as this show goes, I would say that the Tyson and Zayn match was the most fun match on the show. There was a couple other things that I did like about the show, but it was a pretty average episode of NXT. As far as main event goes, I would give that a D. We gotta be truthful, and I'll give main event a C plus. I mean not main event, but yeah, main event a D, and I would give NXT a C plus. I thought it was an average show, but it had a couple spots in it that I really liked. So next, going into SmackDown, you get the show started off with Dean Ambrose, who comes out and he's basically cutting a promo on Seth Rollins and the whole Authority guys, saying that, is that all you got? You try to beat me down. I'm back. You guys can't really do anything to me. He talks shit about Seth Rollins the whole time. You get Seth Rollins, who comes on screen. Oh, shit. That's fucked up. Let's see. Here it is. You get Seth Rollins, who comes on screen, and he basically just goes back at Dean Ambrose, saying that, I can't fight you tonight. And that's what Dean was basically wanted to fight out of Seth Rollins tonight. He says, I can't fight you. Tweaked my knee on Monday. And the Authority basically set up a match with you and Kane. As far as the promo opening segment goes, I thought it was okay from Dean Ambrose. Not his best. Even with Seth Rollins, he did go back at Dean Ambrose pretty good. But, not these guys' best as far as promo goes. Next, you get into a match with Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus versus The Miz and The Miz and Fandango. As far as this match goes, I thought it was a pretty fun match. Sheamus and Ziggler really, just their offense is always pretty fun to watch, and they just went out there and did their thing. And I think that The Miz and Fandango played really nice heels here, and I think this was a better heel spot for The Miz. He did do the whole protection of the face thing here, but when he came back and got into his offense, I thought he went very well here and did exactly what he needed to do as far as the in-ring stuff goes for The Miz. The match goes down where The Miz is basically just playing the whole face gimmick up, and then them two start Fandango starts going in the ring, and he starts doing more dance moves and stuff, kind of fucking up the whole flow of what The Miz and him are doing after they were kind of picking up the pace and everything here. Fandango ends up eating a bro kick, and then The Miz throws out Sheamus and ends up getting a zigzag for his own troubles. And those two, Sheamus and Ziggler, picked up the win here. I thought the match itself was pretty fun. Next, you get Nikki Bella, who comes out as special guest ref, and it's a match between Eva Marie, however you say the bitch name. The chick's name, I won't call this girl bitch, but however you say her name, and Alicia Fox. It was a nothing match. It was basically set up for Eva to attack. Wrong picture again. For Eva to attack. But for Eva and Nikki to get into a confrontation, and then they started beating up on Nikki. Basically, the Authority making Nikki's time even harder and harder. One thing I have to say here, I liked Alicia Fox and Nikki in this part. I liked that Nikki was getting over with the crowd here a little bit, and the crowd was mad that that Nikki was getting beat up, so she is starting to get over as a face with the crowd. But Eva Marie, if you're going to hit a girl, hit the girl. She's a fucking big girl. She can take a few punches and stuff. She's hitting her light as shit, which I thought that was crap, man. So you basically get at the end, Alicia Fox hit the scissors kick and picks up the not pick up the win, but her and Eva Marie tap each other in the back and go happily from the ring. So I thought itself right here, this whole segment was okay. It was better than the whole tie your hand behind your back thing. I liked this here, and it just basically played up to the whole thing of Stephanie and Nikki Bella going against each other. So next, you get another backstage segment between our video thing between what's their names, Goldust and Stardust. Another crazy backstage thing that I think should work better if they do it in ring. I thought it was okay for what it was, but like I keep saying, they got to get these guys in the ring and cut a promo or cut these little segments in front of the crowd and get these guys over with the crowd. I don't think they're going to get over on these video packages. After that, you got Jericho, who came out and he had a match with Um, he had a match with Luke Harper. I'm sorry, people, the dogs are throwing me off. Before that, you get Bray Wyatt, who, after it comes out with the whole Wyatt family, and he basically cuts a promo on Jericho, saying the whole thing, I thought you was going to save us and stuff, and he's now going to be taken out. So Luke Harper gets into a match with Jericho. I thought this was, again, another pretty fun match. Jericho's back, and he's showing that, he still got it, and he's still going hard. I thought, it wasn't a great match here. I thought it was fun, though, and him and Luke Harper went at it. They both was going crazy at each other and just, hitting a lot of hard moves, very hard hitting and stuff. Chris Jericho with the chops, Luke Harper with the European uppercuts, and just both of them going all over the ring. At one point in time, Luke Harper's shirt gets ripped, and all it brought into my mind is he should wrestle without the tank top, man. I think he looks way more rugged and way more, badass without the tank top on, with the hairy chest and stuff like that. I think the tank top is a little bit, it makes him look nasty, but it doesn't make him look vicious, So I think I think if he wrestled like that without the shirt, I think he'll look way more badass. But Luke Harper looked very good here, just a lot of fucking power bombs here, sit down power bombs here from Luke, and just both of him and Chris just going at it in this match. And I thought that, they had a lot of, viciousness in this match, and it's a lot of fun watching these two go at it. It ends up with Chris Jericho trying to hit the walls onto Luke Harper. Eric Rowan comes up trying to interfere. Chris hits him with a kick, and then you get Chris, who ends up hitting a roll up onto Luke Harper and picking up the victory from that. So I thought it was a pretty fun match here between these two guys. And after that, you get the Wyatt family who comes in for the attack, start beating up on Jericho. Usos coming for the save, and they have a big stare down at the end. So pushing more of the stuff with the Usos, I like that. And just, having more fun with everything here. I thought this was a pretty fun match and a nice way to end the match. After that, you get Zeb Coulter, who comes out, and he's basically having a promo. He's cutting a promo onto Lana and Rusev, saying, "Don't come to America and talk that shit. America has its problems. He's the first person to admit it, but you're not allowed to come and say shit about our country. We already know what's up." And basically gets the crowd to do "We the People." And then you get Lana, who comes out and starts talking shit about Zeb again, saying how Russia is better. Rusev gets the mic, says something to them. I think he was saying, "Let's go Russia," or something like that. And basically, you get them two start going off on each other, and then they have a big ass flag waving battle against each other, which I thought was pretty funny. This is probably my most anticipated match going into BattleGrounds. It's the only one I feel has a, set amount of good hype going into it, as far as just fun in the match. I think that the promos between Lana and Zeb has been pretty fun, and just the atmosphere of the match has been really fun. The crowd has been very into it, and so have I. So yeah, I thought it was pretty fun. You just basically get them just swing flags against each other to end it. So next you get a match with Kofi versus Del Rio. Both of these guys got a few wins coming in here, so that's the way they played this matchup. I thought the match itself was okay, not their best match that these two guys had. Kofi did look very good here, just flying all over the place. This match made him look really good, and he did this one move where he was getting ready to get thrown into the side of the ring and ends up jumping through the two ropes, and then comes back out for a dive through the ropes again, which I thought was very fun. And these two going at each other, and just lots of kicks, lots of just high flying moves between both of these guys, and I thought that was pretty fun. The match ends up where Kofi gets Del Rio off the corners and stuff like that, and start fighting each other. He's getting ready to go for a superplex. Del Rio knocks Kofi down to the corner, hits him with this big ass boot off the big ass stomp off the ropes like this, and picks up the victory from that. So it was an okay match here. Not a lot to it, but I did think that both guys looked good in the match. Next you get a Divas tag match with Paige and AJ Lee versus Summer Rae and Layla. You had a lot of just goofiness between Summer Rae and Layla at the beginning of the match. Summer Rae starts dancing, and AJ just starts beating her up while she's dancing. But I thought the match itself was actually a pretty chill match, especially for a Divas tag match. But all four of these girls just, went out there and they just had fun in this match. And I thought that, they were a little bit extra hard hitting here, especially with the moves that they were doing in each other. When they was kicking each other, with a little bit more force than usual. And I thought, especially, just the way all four of these girls was going, they actually showed that they can do something inside the ring here. And, I thought it was a pretty fun match for them. It goes down where Paige starts getting over on both girls, starts beating down on all of them, gets Summer into the middle of the ring, getting ready to finish her off, and AJ tags herself in. Paige is pissed off by that. AJ hits the Black Widow into Summer and picks up the win. After that, you get Paige, who's pissed off at AJ, just giving her this fucking evil eye stare while AJ's doing her crazy cheering in the ring. They have a big stare down. AJ extends her hand for a handshake, and Paige brings her in for a hug. So, I thought, as far as this storyline goes between these two girls, I think they are trying their best with a badly written story. And I'm just hoping for a good match between these two girls to kind of get people back into their story. They're not coming really good off their little big night where AJ won her title back. And I think this whole friendship thing is kind of played very poorly, and it's not enough time given to it to be able to play it up between these two girls. It needs to be a promos and stuff like that in order to play this type of gimmick up, but it's not doing too well to me. But hopefully, Paige does turn heel, gets pissed off at AJ, and gets some heat between these two girls, some real fucking heat. So next, you get a backstage Sonic food commercial with the Usos and Hornswoggle. It's basically Hornswoggle getting brain freeze after taking Usos drinks. Very, very fucking bad, horrible segment right there. I don't know how Sonic lets these guys do these segments, because WWE does horrible commercials for these guys. So yeah, I mean, I got just a laugh from it being so bad. That's the only thing I got from this segment. So after that, you get another backstage segment with, sorry I don't have pictures for this stuff, but another backstage segment with Layla and Summer Rae, who gets confronted by Fandango. Basically, he says that he's going to win the Intercontinental title in the Battle Royal, and that should make them want him after that. They said that they're not going to be manipulated by him no more, and they leave. But the thing that really made me want to talk about this was Bo Dallas comes up to him, basically says there's other fish in the sea, and if they don't want you, somebody out there will. And he kind of makes fun of it, saying, but that does kind of whack, doesn't it? But he says keep Bo leaving. And what you get is you get Fandango, who actually looks away and like, you know what, maybe he's right. So what I'm getting from this and why this was kind of cool to me was that maybe Fandango becomes a believer, and we get a few wrestlers that get into some type of stable with Bo Dallas, where he's leading these guys, kind of like a straight edge society type thing, but a little bit more Bo Dallas style. So I think that would be a very fun segment with just guys who are down on their luck come to a guy like Bo Dallas who's picking up a gang of wins and stuff, and just have him be this speaker to these guys, and these just like the straight edge society thing was. So I think this could be a very fun if they push it right. After that, you get your main event with Dean Ambrose versus Kane, and it's just a match with these two guys going at it, just kind of a brawling type match. Kane does pick up a lot of offense in this match, but Dean Ambrose does come back with some good moves. It basically goes down where Kane tries to beat him down on the steps. Dean Ambrose gets a little bit of offense over, and then Seth Rollins comes out, hits Dean with the briefcase, gets the DQ win for Dean, and starts beating up on Dean. They try to get him to the ring. Dean starts going back crazy and wailing on Seth Rollins, and then Kane chokeslam Dean Ambrose, and they get him onto the steps, curve stomp onto the steps, and you get Seth Rollins, who stands tall, talking shit to Dean Ambrose at the end. So as far as wrong thing. But as far as SmackDown goes itself, I thought it was an average show. Some of the things like the Luke Harper and Jericho match I thought was okay. It was nothing that really stood out to me here, but it was a bunch of average stuff. Stuff that was okay. it's an okay way to spend 2 hours, I guess. I would have liked it more if they would have had some more impactful stuff here, especially going into a pay-per-view. But a lot of these storylines don't feel too much like they're something really set in there going into a pay-per-view. So hopefully they can push something harder and go into this pay-per-view. And I mean, not push something harder, but push something harder going into the next pay-per-view, which is SummerSlam. Sorry about that. Fucking nose is a little stuffy. But going into SummerSlam, hopefully they can push these storylines much harder and have some more impactful stuff going into them. So as far as this show, I would give it a C plus. I thought it was a pretty average show, but it has some okay things to it. So next you're going to have is my predictions for BattleGround. Starting off with the kickoff show, Naomi versus Cameron. Ah, man, I'm really not interested in this whole feud between these two girls. They really haven't done too much with this. Cameron can't really wrestle, so I'm not up to the match between them two. I don't know how they can put on at least a 5-minute match, because that's at least how long the pre-show matches go, at least 5 minutes. But I'm not too sure if she can put on a 5-minute match. Naomi's going to pick up the win here. I don't see any way Cameron can beat Naomi unless she comes out with somebody and they cheat. So yeah, I don't see how they can put this match through. Let's start off with the actual matches for Battlegrounds. You have a three what do you say? How you say it? A 2 out of 3 falls match, which is the Usos versus the Wyatts for the tag team titles, and I think the Wyatt family is going to pick up the win here. I'm looking for a very fun match. Every single match that these guys had between each other has been a lot of great moves, a lot of fast-paced stuff, and just very fun between the Wyatts and the Usos. I think this is going to be a very fun match, and I think the Usos are going to finally come out with the tag team titles here. Wyatts are going to finally come out with the tag team titles here. I think the Usos have been very good tag team champions, and their matches have been very fun. They're not too great on the promos, but I think their in-ring stuff and the way they've been helping out other faces have been the thing that's been a sticking point to what they are as a tag team. So the Usos are going to win. I mean, the Wyatts are going to win here. So next you get my match that I'm most hyped for, which is Rusev versus Jack Swagger. Basically a battle of two countries. I think Swagger is going to come out with a win here in some way. I don't think it's going to be a definite clean win over Rusev. I think that something's going to happen where Swagger ends up getting a roll-up or something, or a distraction win. But I think Swagger's going to get a win here, and they're going to push this feud to SummerSlam. But like I said, this feud has been very fun to me, and I think hopefully they push it on longer. I think this is going to be a very fun match here. Next you get what's their names? Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose, and another match that I think has potential to be fun, but still needs, like I say, a lot more story to it, and needs a lot more, just build up to it, and it just hasn't had that build up. I think that it had small pieces in here coming into Battlegrounds, but I think these two are going to put on another fun match, and hopefully they let them go out there and do what they need to do. And I think Seth is going to come out with the win here, leading for them to go back against each other at SummerSlam. Now you're going to get the match where it's going to be hard for me to predict. The Battle Royal match with just a bunch of the mid-card guys. I don't know here, man. When I look at this match, this Battleground Battle Royal for the IC title, I look at it as a few people that are coming in here with some type of big, hype and big momentum coming in. I see my 5 are going to be Bo Dallas, because he's 15 and Bo, and he's coming in on a high. Cesaro, because something needs to happen with him, and I think that they're looking to push him where, and probably this title will make him be a little bit more relevant in what he's going to be able to do. Sheamus, they can have him merge the two belts and bring something from that. Dolph Ziggler, he's getting more and more hype. And finally, somebody who's there been pushing up is Kofi. I think the whole thing with Del Rio getting those few wins has been misdirection. I don't see him picking up this belt. But as far as who I think is going to be the winner out of those 5, I think they're going to merge it here with Sheamus. I'm I think they like Sheamus at least, and I think they are looking to merge these two belts and just make it one belt. So I think Sheamus is going to pick up the win at this match. Um, After that, you get the match between Bo Dallas, fucking brothers, man. Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho. Another match that I think needs a lot more build up and a lot more time to it. I just feel like this match is happening too quick. I see hopefully Bray Wyatt. You know what? I kind of want this match to go down in the DQ. I'm not going to really pick a winner here. I think it's going to go down in DQ. I think these guys are going to either beat up each other so much that it's nothing's going to happen and nobody's going to come out with a win here. And I see them going to something bigger at SummerSlam. But it's like I feel that way for all these matches. I feel that it's just not enough to be for a pay-per-view. I think this pay-per-view is wrongfully placed, and it should not. I don't see a problem with 11 pay-per-views on a pay-per-view. On a year, especially since now you're on the network and not just just looking for the pay-per-view buys. So hopefully, this is not the end of these two guys, and they can find a way to push this further into SummerSlam. But I'm not going to choose a winner here. I think it's going to be a DQ finish, and both these guys are going to get counted out or disqualified or discontinued or whatever. Not discontinued, but whatever is going to happen. But I don't think there's going to be a definite winner here. So next you get Paige versus AJ Lee. Hopefully these girls can put on a good match. They haven't had a great build up to this, and I think these girls can get down in the ring and go some craziness in there. I think AJ Lee is going to pick up the win here in another match that they're going to push to SummerSlam. Hopefully these girls can at least get some heat back to them with a good match. And finally you have your main event, which is Kane, Randy Orton, John Cena, and Roman Reigns in a fatal 4-way match for the WWE World Heavyweight title. So John Cena is basically going to win here, leading on to him versus Brock Lesnar. I don't see any way that anybody else can win. The biggest thing that you got coming back is either, Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns for the title, I guess. But if you're going to have a main event, it's got to be John Cena versus Brock Lesnar, and I think Brock Lesnar is going to come at the end here after John Cena picks up the win, and I think he's going to beat down onto John Cena in the end of the show. So I think John Cena is going to come on with the win. I think we're going to see Brock Lesnar at the end of this pay-per-view. So thank you for watching, people. Those are my predictions. Those are my reviews to my 3 shows. This has been a long video, so like, comment, subscribe. Hit me up on the contacts down below, and you can find me on Instagram at Compton_animator, and you also find me on Facebook at Christopher Wallace. So thank you for people that subscribed. I got a few new subscribers, and thank you for the people that's watching and liking the video. Thank you very much. Peace. Keep watching wrestling, people.